And brothers, as Lady Adele's getting her screen ready, I want to give a big shout out to Sister China. Mini Investigator China is now with us. She's always been typing away. So the team is back in full effect. Sister Jarita, Sister China, Lady Adele. We're all back in full effect, man. So yes, Lady Adele, it's all yours there.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Andrew. So yes, so as I said, family, this is part two, carrying on from last week. And last week I started and ended with this particular quote. I'm starting this week, this moment of insight, again with it from the Honourable Marcus Garvey. If the Negro is not careful, he will drink in all the poison of modern civilization and die from the effects of it. And I'm going to keep stressing that point because all around us, we are caught in the poison. And it's like we're in a swimming pool of this poison, but can we keep our head above the water, reach the edge, climb out and take the journey on, take our why of the journey on. So just a bit of a recap. So last week, some of the things we looked at Sinek's golden circle and the importance of knowing the right process around making decisions. Because if we don't start with the why, our purpose, our drive, then we become someone else's how and something else's what. And so without the why, we are just kind of floating and fitting into somebody else's mission. And we link this to the forming of habits and how habits form themselves, and that within a year, the habit is permanent. But yet it becomes intergenerational and through epigenetics. And before we know it, we don't even realize that we're caught in this, this kind of trap. And I read a very important quote last week from Daniel Estin's book. What is the purpose of these behavior modifications? This was a question he was asking. What is the purpose of these behavior modifications that is making us move away from what God and who God created us to be? And it is to bring about forced changes to our way of life without our agreement, without our realizing what is happening to us. The ultimate goal is the complete extirpation. And if you remember, I said that means destruction, and complete extirpation of mankind's inner sense of identity, the tearing out of man's innermost soul and the placement in that vacant space of an artificial, synthetic pseudo soul. One must force first a change in mankind's self-image, its fundamental conceptions of what we are. Thus, the image of man appropriate to that new era must be sought, synthesized, and then wired into mankind's brain. And if you remember, brothers and sisters, I was saying that the elite, those global organizations, they are thinking up to 120 years ahead of us. So they're way ahead of the game. And when we think we're making some of the changes, and we looked at this with Hegelian dialectic, we can see that the changes that we often fight for are the changes that have been put upon us to fight for. So this week, I'm going to look at the foundation principles of a critical theory, which underpins all the decisions and actions that society makes, that we make without even realizing that we haven't given permission for it. And this includes the engineering of the destruction of our males and the rise of Astarte. So we do, brothers and sisters, we need to go back to our founding principles, the founding principles of Ma'at. The 7 attributes there is our why we are who we are and on the journey that we are. These are the 7 attributes of Ma'at: order, balance, harmony, truth, reciprocity, propriety, and righteousness. And without understanding why these things, these principles are important, we cannot make any safe journey going forward from that. So we need to get a fuller understanding of that. And taking that on, we have the 42 principles, the affirmations of Ma'at. And this doesn't tell us just what to do or what to be, it tells us who we are. And if you just look at the way they're written, I honor virtue, I live truth, I speak positively of others, I give blessings, I embrace the all. That is the how. And it's wonderful that as affirmations, because we can bring this into existence when we say, I will, I am, I shall. And it's got a very different mindset to the biblical thou shalt not. Because we know whatever we put into the atmosphere, there's no distinguishment made. So the thou shalt not brings that to us, whereas the I will brings us that essential life. We as a people, we recognize our place within nature. We are carers and protectors of it, not consumers and destroyers of it. We as a people, we understand the God within. We don't honor and man-made God without. And we looked at this last week when we were remembering that, we can see the rapper go up there with his drop trousers and his gold teeth and all the chains around his neck. But when he collects his statue for his award, he will always give thanks to God and thanks to his people. So that tells us that it's still there within us. So then we had a quick look again at the critical theorists of the Frankfurt School and the theory that it has of critiquing society and then planning for change based on these criticisms. So already that's a negative way of thinking. And the critical theorist is an organizational center for the most advanced ideas in national and global philosophy, anthropology, and sociology. It's a huge manipulation process or a manipulation engine. And how is this done? It's done by breaking the link first between God and man. It does this by destroying culture and the efficiency of culture, so inbreeding ignorance in its place. It does this by destroying the natural place and principles of males within society. So it's breaking our males away from natural order. And sisters, this is very important that we really look at this as we look at our men and our boys when we leave this place today. And also, critical theorists do this by destroying the family and making the state the new parent. And I'm not just talking about benefits here. So, to break the link between God and man and to destroy culture and the efficiency of culture, critical theorists uses the religion or the religion principles of the goddess Astarte. And we use this to lull us to sleep and turn us into consumers at every level. Consumers of desire, consumers of greed, sex, money, power over others. Astarte gave permission and encouraged hedonism in her time. And hedonism is the pursuit of pleasure by any means necessary and self-indulgence. Now, the goddess Astarte, she was called the great goddess of Babylon, and she had been around since the time of Kemet, and she's been around at that time as Isis. Now, other names include Aphrodite, Venus, Ishtar, but as Astarte of the Greeks, she became the pagan goddess of fertility, of sex, of love, of abundance, of prosperity, and of war. She's also the goddess of Easter. And those of you who were on the platform when Brother Andrew broke down Easter would have come across Astarte at that time, described as the Christian demon. And she actually held no esteem amongst the original Christians of Jesus' day. Because you see, she was worshipped with sexual rituals and sacrificing of the firstborn, whether that's the babies and animals. But we're asking ourselves, well, how do we get from Isis to Astarte? How can we be calling these two goddesses exactly the same person? Because we know that our great writer, Naim Akbar, he reminds us that in reality, ancient Kemetic psychology cannot be understood with Western methods. A full appreciation of ancient Kemet psychology must be done with an African mind. Hence, how we can move from the Isis and the principles of Ma'at to Astarte and the principles of, I'm going to just call it outright as it is, evil. But why is this important? Why has this, or what has this got to do with anything? Well, in order to engineer their society, the critical theorists had to continue, and they still do, to destroy the role of males in society, to destroy the family, to destroy the father as the provider, the protector, the strong man in the household. Because they knew that the success of a society lay in a healthy society with healthy families, as the family, they knew, is the building block of a nation and through its values and its morals. And that was and is an obstruction to critical theory agenda, which we know is the philosophy that's underpinning societies globally today. So to remove or emasculate the males is to remove the natural order. And critical theorists know the balance of order between men and women in reference to nature. We see it all around us in nature, but this had to be destroyed. And we see this in the push or the normalizing of asexuality. We now got our young people in a gender crisis, the synthetic empowerment of women. Today, we see politicians focusing on the roles of women, women as nurturers, as caregivers, as the healthcare providers, as educationists, seeking equality. Now, nothing is wrong with this until you actually see that while there is this agenda being engineered for women, there is no agenda focused on our men and empowering our men to continue as protectors and providers. So that there, if there's nothing injured there for our men except for their slow and gradual disempowerment and withdrawal from the role for which God designed our men to be. So what will hedonism, you could say, look like now in the future? Well, for women and for our girls, we've got to be wary of this. And our sister Barbara was saying how important it is that we know where our children are and what's happening to them. Hedonism for women of the future is all about the equal rights and the equal pay and the rejection of men and heading up the household and having the pill so that we can delay motherhood until we're ready, having been able to be promiscuous safely. But what does hedonism look like for men if we are taking away their role as fathers and providers and protectors? Well, it leaves our men only to be extremists, to be terrorists at every level, whether that's within their relationship, whether that's with their children, or whether that's it within society. And what is happening then, this is passing on to our boys. But it still begs the question, the why question. Now let's have a look at this man. His name, Johann Jacob Backerfen, 1815 to 1877. He was a philologist, which means he studies the language of historical texts. And he was also an anthropologist. And he claimed that motherhood is a source of society, religion, and morality. And he identified 4 stages of cultural evolution of the growth and development of culture over time and the role that women play within them. And the first stage was heterism, where males owned the women. So it was a system of temporary or continuous sexual relations outside of marriage. It was about holding women in common. It was about having wild, nomadic people with a wild approach to sex and promiscuity. That was the first stage of culture in his mind. Men owned women and did with them as they wished. The second stage of culture, he declared, was Mutterich, where women are leaders. So here we get the matriarchal figure who becomes a leader and holds society together. But the mother, he's saying, is making sacrificial offerings of firstborns. So we can still see that the women here are still not considered to be women of strength and power. They're not queens as such. They're just seen still as these kind of perverted beings. Then the fourth stage of culture is the Dionysian, where women are now the temptresses of men, and it relates to the sensual and spontaneity within human nature. And Bachofen said, and this was, women did this by encouraging drunkenness and insanity, ritual madness, and religious ecstasy, including the sexual perversion. And this is where the Astarte goddess comes in. And then the fourth stage of culture is the Apollonian, which is kind of where we're just kind of moving through now, where women are under the order of men, not necessarily owned in the same way as heterism, but under they're now ordered through rational behaviors, through self-discipline, through certain aspects of human nature. So it's this whole patriarchal way that we live in today. So this was Bachofen's theory of culture. And he said the male principle could not exist on its own or be self-sufficient except through Dionysus' ecstasy. So he says for males to operate as strong men, it couldn't happen unless the Dionysian way was still in existence. And what was that? I said it before: drunkenness, insanity, ritual madness, religious ecstasy, and being dominated by feminine sensuality. And this led to a critical theorist putting pressure on every aspect of society, including the church, to confirm the idea that the end of the male role in society was necessary. Fatherhood, priesthood, protector, provider, it had to come to the end. And we looked at this last week when we were talking about religion and how the church could not stand up to the changes that were being enforced upon it. It didn't have that strength of moral character to do that. Now, sisters, this is important to us in relation to the education and behavior and aspiration of our sons. We may have given up on our men, but we cannot give up on our sons. And we need to remember what the Honorable Louis Farrakhan said last week. He said that the education system has still not set us free. So if it has not set us free, it continues to keep us and our young boys in particular enslaved, and is now actively destroying our sons. They're becoming followers. They're becoming dependent. They're lacking responsibility. They're not encouraged anymore to think. None of us are, in fact, encouraged to think anymore. We're just told, and we take on what it is we're told to do. So descriptions of critical theorists are quite rare. Particularly, I think they want it that way because their methods and systems of coercion is still being used today to trouble, keep in turbulence, and to disturb nations where the disruption of sovereignty and rule and democracy is required. That's what they want to do. They want to destabilize and unsettle those kind of environments. And remember that critical theorists is based on Marxist principles, the whole society, politics, economics, and philosophy that argues for workers' revolution to overturn capitalism, which is about private ownership. So it's all about getting us as the people to overturn the systems as they are, not realize we're not doing it for us. We think we are, but it's adjured that we are doing it for the elite, for the critical theorist ideology in which we are living today. This man here, Dr. Otto Gross, 1877 to 1920, an Austrian psychoanalyst, anarchist, sexual liberationist. He used the work of Bachofen by adopting the ideology of Babylon as the model for civilization in opposition to the Judeo-Christian model. So as we know that Babylon was the first city of civilization where man began to worship himself and started the original rebellion against God. So it's about that ignorance within us as people, that set within us that wanted all power and everything our own way, no care and love for our brother, even for our families, even for ourselves. And the Tower of Babel Nimrod, Brother Andrew spoke about it again at the Easter breakdown, was the theory behind Dr. Otto Gross's method of how society should operate. And this man here, Georgi Lukács, 1885 to 1971, although he said that Gross was demonic in his ideal of a Babylonian Astarte civilization for us as a world, he did say such a messianic political movement could only succeed when the individual believes that his or her actions are determined by not personal destiny, but the destiny of the community in a world that has to be abandoned by God. And so we can see that the destiny of the community was all about abandoning God. And although Georgi didn't agree at that time with Otto Gross, because he thought it was very demonic to want to have Astarte and the Babylonian civilization being the way we operate today, he was a part of the critical theorists who needed God to be abandoned, to get rid of religion, because it would also get rid of the family. So in 1970, the Bachofen and Gross theory was formally adopted by the critical theorists. So the end of the male principles that came from Bachofen and the Babylonian style of society from Gross was formally adopted by critical theorists. So what does this now mean for where we're living today? William Stewart, in his book, The Invisible College, he says, there is a revolution coming. It will not be like revolutions of the past. It will originate with the individual and the culture, and it will change the political structure as its final act. It will not require violence to succeed, and it cannot be successfully resisted by violence. This is the revolution of the new generation. So how does that look? Well, I've spoken about it, the failure or the collapse or the destruction of patriarchal authority in being able to fulfill its function as a parent, as a provider, as a protector, for having responsibility. Step one. Another step is about the women's evolution. So the Me Too movement, equality of wage, equality of work, being able to do all things equal to men. So the women's evolution that is being pushed on our girls today. Another step is youth rebellion, opportunities for our children and our adolescents to have new ways to rebel, therefore cause self-destruction. We see this in the labelings that our children are forced to have. We see this now that children can take on their own sexuality or gender. We can see this, that our young people are not forced to take responsibility or ownership. The education system is driving that. I'm in education. I see it around me and I see it growing. Another step is the manipulated consent, and we're right in it. The vaccination is a form of manipulated consent. We argued, we fought, we uprised, we wanted something to be done about COVID. The vaccination came along. We feel as a people, we fought for that, but it was always a part of the design all the time. Manipulated consent with regards to education and the education that our children receive. A manipulated consent regarding politics and how we accept news and the politics and economics. All of that is manipulated and we fall into it. Libertarianism, another step, and this is the rise of the youth movement who are now fully embracing Bachofen philosophy, sex, loose family structure, unisex in our clothes, in our behaviors, our gender choice, lack of responsibility, no sexual restraint. Libertarianism is also about getting rid of morals that a group of people feel are unnecessary or undesirable, to ignore or spurn accepted, sanctified morals. So we're speaking about some of the morals and values that our grandparents and our parents may have. Our young people are saying we don't want them anymore. They're holding us back. They're keeping us trapped, not knowing that they're actually being manipulated by consent to drive this new philosophy and this new theory through. Another attack is consumer paradise, as it's described. The vision of having whatever we want, when we want, how we want, whether we can afford it or not. It doesn't matter. It's about the great mother. And I'm not talking about a real woman mother now. I'm talking about the technical mother that has been created for us. The great mother, where we are taught and we're encouraged as a people. This great mother that the state nurses adults as children. It pacifies us with an increasing lullaby of social media, where our men and our boys become emotional infants, feeling secure that the great mother will always supply an abundance of milk and needs and wants and desires. And our men and our boys no longer need to be able to make decisions or to be responsible. It's affecting us all as a society, as men and as women. But for our men, it's a direct attack on them. But it's still, we still haven't answered the question, why is this happening? We understand the how and the what, but what is that why? And I said last week, my hypothesis is that we as a community, a people across the globe, the majority across the globe, are the why. And we can see that the collateral damage of the breaking down of the West now, the falling of birth rates, the outcomes, the low outcomes in education, the whole vaccine now, not just the COVID, but vaccines that are causing childhood diagnoses of ADHD and ODD and eczema and all of these, and increased mental health. This is collateral damage that the elite and the critical theorist approach is willing to pay the price for that, because we are the why and we need to get to what that why is all about. I opened with the Honourable Marcus Garvey, and I'm going to close with him. This quote here: we are going to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. He's not suggesting, come on, let's uprise, let's get to it. He tells us in that Manhattan way, we are going to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery, because while others might free the body, none but ourselves can free the mind. The mind is your only ruler, sovereign. The man who is not able to develop and use his mind is bound to be the slave of the other man who uses his mind. And I circle the his there because it has a double meaning. The slave of the other man who uses his mind. So it could be the critical theorist ideology who's using their mind, or it is the slave of the other man who uses our mind. So we need to be careful of all of that. Because until we do this and get to the bottom of this why, we will remain like passengers trapped on the modern Snowpiercer. For those of you who are watching the Netflix show there, the Snowpiercer, which is just spiraling down and down and round into what looks to be a state of non-existence. So that is the underpinning theory. That is where Assad and ISIS come into conflict, where we as a people who are Ma'atan in our very essence is coming into conflict with the mechanical, the invented Assad of the society within which we live. So I'm going to end there for today, brothers and sisters. And then the next stage, as I was reading and preparing for today, I ended up looking at the journey of how did we get to the invention of white the invention of whiteness. And so next time that I'm with us, brothers and sisters, I'm going to start with Bacon's rebellion. For any of you who want to start looking into that, to see, because to understand the why, we still aren't sure why we are where we are. And one of those deciding factors was when white became an invention, a man-made invention that has then taken over and engineered the whole and supported the whole drive of critical theory that is driving us forward into oblivion unless we get off that train and we start to look at our why, our purpose, looking backwards to my art and our ancient African traditions to come forward. So brothers and sisters, thank you very much. And Brother Andrew, thank you. I will speak with everybody again next time. Thank you.
Jarita, you've turned your camera on. What is it you want to say? Because my God, I saw that chat line. Lady Adele, we are so thankful for your work. Sister, what do you want to say? Sister Jarita, I'm handing it straight to you, sis.
Thank you so much, Lady Adele. Lovely to see you again. Sorry, I missed you last week. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Just to obviously update you with some of the things that were said in the chat, and there were a couple of questions, but one in particular. So we've had lots of comments in the chat. The chat was very interesting, actually, to read as you were going through. There was a little of a side conversation going on about relationships and women talking about, women nowadays wanting men who can provide and it taking two to balance that out. I think there was even one person on there who admitted he's been looking for somebody but hasn't been able to find someone. So I don't know if this has become the hidden truth date now, but if there's anybody out there looking, I will.
We can create a little dating site.
But he did put his name in the chat. But if you're looking, then there's someone out there also looking. We've got Jocelyn, who said we need to claim back our rights as people. We've got Sonia, who said fantastic info, Lady Adele, preach. And we've got Carlos, who said, wow, Lady Adele, you're blowing up the place tonight. You've been phenomenal. On one of the slides that you put up, though, Adele, you had a picture with a circle in it. And somebody asked the question, what does it say around the circle? And so I sort of zoomed right in and saw that it said, the whole world has been corrupted through knowledge of unrighteousness and revelation of the eternal secret. That person has now come back saying, what is the eternal secret? So that's the question that I have for you if you've got some time.
Well, and that's where we're not there yet, because I think the eternal secret is the why, but we've still got a long way along that journey to get there. We've got to understand how white came into being. We have to understand more about, we have to move on to critical race theory and the whole history behind that, because I do believe we as a people are the why. So we are the ones who are that secret. But I'm still on that journey too. So as soon as I know, whoever asks Jarita, the platform here is certainly going to know. It's not something I want to keep to myself.
Wonderful. Well, I will let Naomi, who asked the question, know, but obviously I've asked that for you, Naomi. So hold your stance for now, stick a pin, and we'll come back to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sister Jarita.
Adele, I love the interaction between the two of you, man. Love the interaction between the two of you. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Brothers and sisters, oh my goody gumdrops. Lady Adele dropped it. Lady Adele did drop it tonight. And now, jeez, brothers and sisters, we're touching nearly 500 on the platform for the master teacher, the brother himself, the long-awaited one, the one that the world's been waiting for, the star that has come out at nighttime. Jeez, our big brother, Paul Obinna. Oh my God. Brother Paul, welcome to the Hidden Truth platform, sir.
How you doing? You good?
Oh, brother, now that I've seen you after Lady Adele and then seeing you come on, brother, this is going to be a killer night tonight. Brother,
I can't keep up with Lady Adele. I can't keep up with that. I was like sitting going, damn. What am I going to say? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to say?
I really know you're
some
ready.
of that theory about men being put in their place and everything. I say it's a practical case.
Brother Paul, as you know, brother, man, you're loved all over the world, brother. You've done works I know I've shared platforms with you, brother. I've gone to schools with you. I've gone up and down the country with you, brother. We've driven in the same car up the motorway, brother. And brother, I'm telling you, man, you're one of the brothers that from the first time I started this platform, King, I was praying to Allah, please allow the day in where I can be reunited with my big brother, a master teacher, a fantastic brother, a brilliant spirit. Brother Paul, how are you? How are you doing, first, King? How are you?
I'm 95%. I was ill for about 8 weeks. Got that. My skin turned grey at one point.
Wow.
So I was told, but it was very necessary. It was like a will detox.
Yes.
Those of you know Dr. Sebi's work, I was just like, what do you call it? Mucus coming out.
Yes.
So I've been having some certain stressful situations since returning from Brazil 4 years ago now. And the fact no one's seen me just means I've been working on myself. And I decided to have enough of my own nonsense, my own BS. And I went to my shrine. I asked for the detox. And then I basically got my backside handed to me.
Wow.
And so when it takes out, my ego wasn't in control at all. So no, it's been a fantastic learning experience. Not one I'd like to repeat, but I'm hopefully back ready to fire.
Brother Paul, funny enough, you mentioned Dr. Sebi. We had Dr. Sebi's #1 student on the platform. He was our keynote speaker last week. Okay. Dr. Jamal Munker, for all the way from the Bahamas. So it's time that you came in. So, brother, just before you start, you can share your screen.
Okay.
Sister Sharon 6Sex wants to give you greetings. Sister Prue, it says, "What a handsome man!" Hey, hey! This is one of our sisters. We've got let's have a look. We've got Sister Louise Mohammed, all the way from Huddersfield, that says, Obinna started my journey into Kemetic studies back in 1992 in his adult education classes in Manchester. So, you know, there's quite a lot of brothers and sisters that are absolutely amazed to see you on the platform again, brother. So, brother Paul, I'm not going to say nothing no more, King.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the screen sharing isn't coming up.
Try again, brother, because I did see something come up when you just shared just now.
Is it coming up now?
Let's have a look.
It's failed to start, it said.
Okay, because I've given you permission to share screen. I've given you full permission to
go
share.
There. Screen sharing has failed to start. Please try again later. Okay.
Oh, don't be telling me this, Paul. Don't be telling me this. We want to hear your fire today, bro. Try again. Try restarting, maybe. Not the computer, but try probably restart the. Is it a PowerPoint or Keynote?
PowerPoint.
Yeah, it should be straightforward, my king.
Hold and shift up.
You know, at the bottom of your bar, do you have a green thing that says share screen?
Yes, I've just popped that up, and what I've got, it says notes, and then hold shift.
No, you shouldn't have to do it.
It says hold shift to select multiple windows, it says.
Yeah, you should. When you press share screen, there should be multiple windows that come up on your screen, and you just hit the button. Have you opened your PowerPoint already? Yeah, is it waiting?
Yeah.
Yes, as soon as you press share screen, it should be in one of the windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, double click on it.
It's not there. It's not there.
And you did say to do a trial one. I said, no, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
Well, you do. I just, you know, I don't like knocking mouth on myself, so that's what I usually do. Is get that. So let's have a look. Should I try leaving and coming back in again? Totally.
Yeah, leave and come back in again, brother.
In a bit.
All right then, bro. So brothers and sisters, Brother Paul will be coming back in, as you see, just to the technical side. So as Brother Paul's coming in, don't go nowhere, brothers and sisters. We are absolutely here. Brother Paul is going to be back. He's going to be coming back into the platform in a second. So let's have a look at this then, brothers and sisters. Let's have a look. We're going to...
The Blue Mountain region of eastern Jamaica is arguably the most famous coffee region in the world. Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee is one of Jamaica's most prized possessions and is celebrated globally. Cultivated in the steep slopes, the volcanic soils and gentle mist provide the perfect conditions to form this wonderfully aromatic speciality blend. Out of many, there is one love. Marshall and Brown, Jamaican Blue Mountain Coffee.
Well, brothers and sisters, that's Marshall Brown, one of our sponsors. So please make sure you buy all your coffee from this provider. Brother Paul, let's try again now, King.
No.
Please.
Google Chrome launch meeting.
Oh, so that showed your screen.
Oh, it did, that one?
It did, yeah, it showed your screen.
Hang on. Now that's gone off.
And you're using an Apple, yeah?
Yeah. I'm on the Mac. I've got a big Mac here, and
wow. So
and it's basic, advanced. Slides as virtual background. I've got content from second camera, files, Dropbox, Microsoft Box. This just happened one time. It happened. I think I told you, Tony Browder.
Yeah.
I was presenting with him, and the same thing happened.
On the same computer?
Yeah, it's on Tony's computer. Mine worked, his didn't.
Oh, you know what? I wonder, brother, because we really would love to hear from you proper tonight, King. We try one more time. If not, so that's on the share screen.
Can you see that now?
Yeah, that's your notes.
So if I go like this, is that on?
No, share screen again. What I would say, brother, close all your files, all your files, and just have the PowerPoint open.
Do you know something? I've actually done that because it's let's have a look. Screen. Oh, it's failed to start again.
Okay, we got share screen because we got 500 people waiting on the tip of their seats waiting for you, King. So you got share screen, the green button at the bottom, share screen, and there should be several files that should open up for you. Several boxes or one main box, which is a PowerPoint.
No, I know the thing well, but it's just not. It's not showing.
Oh wow!
So this is like yeah, I got the basic one. I've got advanced. There's the box has got, it says share at the bottom right hand side as well. I'm pushing that. It says sign into Dropbox to continue. That's the Dropbox one.
Maybe, so as a last resort, maybe you'd have to email it over to us.
Okay.
And I can run it on my side.
That's it. Okay. Let's have a look here. So if I go here.
But it'd be great if you can control it yourself. We're going to get there, brothers and sisters. Don't worry, man. We've got a great Obinna with us. We're going to get there. You don't want to miss this brother's work. Seriously.
Andrew.
All right. So in the meantime, brothers and sisters, as the brother's doing that.
Whenever I went through something, it brought me closer to God. And I stayed into something. So now I'm closer to God. But being closer is hard. The attacks get stronger, become much harder to fight, and they last longer. That's what it's always been. Joy with the pain, dark with the light, sun with the rain. With the right perspective, there can be something to gain. Look for the good and the bad. Not the sun when it rains.
All right, because as I said tonight, we are going to be dropping the hidden truth of DMX, brothers and sisters. Come on now. So what I'm going to do, just while Paul is getting himself ready, we're going to probably have to email his presentation to us, brothers and sisters. I'll keep an eye on the emails. So what I'm going to do in the meantime, so we don't waste any time, brothers and sisters, what I'm going to do in the meantime, we're going to make sure we keep on time with our program, and we're going to start off the breakdown of DMX, brothers and sisters. When Paul comes in, I'll stop it and hand straight back over to Brother Paul. So, brothers and sisters, as Majestic says, patience is a virtue. That's right. We're gonna get there. We are gonna get there, brothers and sisters. So we are literally gonna go into the breakdown of DMX for 5-10 minutes, and we get back to Brother Paul. So here we go, brothers and sisters. And if so, brothers and sisters, as we're gonna get ready, don't worry, Brother Paul is gonna be coming in, brothers and sisters. And in the meantime, I will say to you now that DMX, yeah, some of the language is not okay. So in this breakdown, there may be 1 or 2 languages like the N word and certain other words, brothers and sisters. So if there are children in there, I would say to probably excuse them right now. There's not going to be a whole lot of profanity. Oh, Brother Paul, you're there. Have you sent it? Have you sent the your presentation over?
No, I came out again. I'm just going to try one more time on that.
Oh, let's see if we can do it, brother. We still got 500 people.
Okay.
On the platform.
Because it's saying you are viewing your screen.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Right now, come off that.
We pray.
Let's do this, Paul.
So, Google Chrome launch meeting. It says it's not giving me any of the usual options. Are not there. Can you check your? Can you come out your end a minute? Can you do something there?
No, not on mine. Not when it comes to sharing your screen.
Okay. Share screen, share sound.
That's sharing, brother. We can see your internet, or Zoom or whatever. We can see that. That's sharing.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if I can go, let's see if I can start the slideshow now. Play from start. You can see the blank screen.
We can see it says Zoom. It says Zoom.
Can you see that?
Still Zoom, brother. Still Zoom.
No, it's not. It's not having it then.
This is crazy. This is the first time ever.
It says here I'm screen sharing now, but yeah.
I tell you what. Is Lady Adele still around? Is Lady Adele still around? Come off that now, Paul.
Yeah.
I am, Brother Andrew.
Lady Adele, could you do us one quick favor? I'm going to try and touch base with Paul. If you can, and maybe Jarita as well, if you could just touch a bit more on your presentation. I'm going to have a private touch base with Paul for the next 5 minutes. So, brothers and sisters, stay on the platform. Brother, we're going to make this work one way or another. So, Lady Adele, putting you in the deep seat, okay? Is there anything more that you'd like to explain regarding the work that you're doing? Brother Paul, you stay there, King. If you can come off your screen, Brother Paul.
Okay.
I'm gonna holler at you. And
Yeah.
Brother Andrew.
Yep.
If you'd like, I had prepared some slides about the vaccines and the people's response, the way the people here in Jamaica feel. If you want me to, see if I can show some of those in the meantime.
If you can, sis. Just share your
Let me see if I can share my screen here.
Lady Adele, anytime you want to come in, you can come in, man.
Well, I just was going to say is that about 20 years ago, or 25 years ago, I met yourself and Paul, and I used to alternate you coming in to work with the children at school.
That's right.
And I don't think the head teacher realized exactly the work, because we used to run at that time, a colleague and I, what we call the African Caribbean Forum for our Black students. Boys and girls, able and less able, hard workers, not so hard workers. We used to meet collectively weekly. The head at that time didn't realize the power of that, and he didn't object to it. And I remember there's a big period of time when Paul would come one week, and a couple of weeks later you would come, and a couple of weeks later he would come, and I just yo-yoing you. And some of those young people still remember those times.
Oh, brilliant!
It was a wonderful time.
Brilliant, brilliant. Brilliant. Okay, Sister Clarion, is she still there? No. What a night. What a night. Oh, there she is.
Sorry about that, brother. Okay, are you ready?
Yep, yep.
You can see my screen all right?
It says Google.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you see that pouring of libation?
Yes, it's all your sister. I'll leave it with
Okay.
Lady Adele.
Okay. All right, brothers and sisters, let's just acknowledge, you know, our ancestors who have gone before us and have done tremendous work. And so looking at Jamaica and COVID at this time, we saw where the government declared a national disaster on March 14, closed down our schools, people who could work were sent home to work. And so let's just look at this TVJ news report.
Clarion, are you there? We can't hear the.
You can't hear? Oh, I have to share the audio. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Raise hand. Stop sharing.
Sister Clarion, it's not moving.
Yeah, because she said she couldn't hear, but I'm not, okay. I'm seeing the option now. Sorry about that.
It has left Jamaicans in China, like Akara Golson,
Are you hearing now?
stranded and desperate.
Everything's good.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. Maybe I spoke too soon. Yeah, we can't hear this part.
Are you hearing this part?
No, can't hear this at all.
Sister Clarion, can you talk us through what's being said, maybe?
Are you hearing that? You didn't hear that?
No, we can't hear anything.
Okay, let me.
In China.
Akara is in China on a scholarship studying protective agriculture,
Are you
science,
hearing
and
now?
engineering.
Are you hearing now?
Yes, you can hear that.
You hear that? Okay, let me.
Say they are too terrified to leave their rooms, and their relatives in Jamaica are traumatized. This evening, the cries of one such family.
The statistics from the coronavirus outbreak in China continue to rise. Advisories discouraging travel to China have been issued by several countries. Today, Jamaica moved a step further to declare an outright ban. It has left Jamaicans in China, like Akara Golson, stranded and desperate.
We want to go home, Jamaica. We don't want to stay in China. We don't want to stay in China.
Akara is in China on a scholarship studying protective agriculture, science, and engineering since 2018. Speaking on Radio Jamaica 94 FM's Beyond the Headlines with Dion Jackson Miller on Thursday, she detailed her traumatizing experiences.
Since the outbreak of the virus, I've never been so scared in my entire life. I have never been so depressed. I don't sleep at nights. The truth be told, you don't know what's going on. It keeps getting worse. It keeps getting worse. Every day you keep hearing bad news. People in Jamaica, I am starving. I only eat for survival. I don't eat 3 times per day. I go to the supermarket, there's barely anything on the shelf. Water is scarce, food is scarce. The very common mask to protect yourself is very scarce. People are scared. I am here. I don't go outside, even to take out my very garbage. I'm even afraid.
Akara's mother is still in Jamaica. However, she is just as terrified for her daughter. Since the outbreak, she has been tracking both TVJ news and international sources for updates. She was troubled by the travel advisory issued on Tuesday, and so she says she has been calling the Ministry of Foreign Affairs since Wednesday.
When I spoke to someone there, they were telling me that for now they are dialoguing with other foreign ministers to see how best they can do it. We know that we don't have a plane that can be flown so straight to go to China. They would have to stop in another country, then get quarantined, and that might pose some other issues. So I'm saying if quarantine is a problem, we have no issue because these persons are willing to be quarantined just to come out of this situation. I mean, every country is trying their efforts to ensure that their students and family members come home. She was saying, what is Jamaica doing for us?
Sister, if you can stop it there, sister. Thank you very much for Clarion, for jumping in at that last moment. Thank you so much, my dear. Brother Paul is back. We've got it sorted out now, brothers and sisters. So please, if you can stop your share screen, okay, Clarion. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Brothers and sisters, can you please give a round of applause to our sister Clarion, because she came in. I didn't have to ask her, man. She came in last minute, and that's what it's about. That is exactly what it's all about, brothers and sisters. So we thank you so much, our queen. We thank you. Brother Paul is with us, and we've got the PowerPoint lined up and waiting for our king to be introduced. So right now, let's have a look. There should be. All right, let's have a look.
That's the one.
That's the one. Okay, brothers and sisters. Brother Paul, I'm handing it to you, my king. You just let me know when you want me to go.
Okay. Brother Andrew, thank you very much for the invitation. Like I said, I lead quite a quiet life at the minute. I'm getting ready to start presenting again in full on. But thank you so much for the invitation. Very much appreciated.
Well, we need you, Brother Paul.
And it's nice seeing Sister Adele fight like those fire. Yeah. so yeah. Hit the first one, please. Well, I'm going to start off. This is, for me, is a very important quote from Kwame Nkrumah. Please hit it again. The secret of life is to have no fear. Why that's important, especially of your natural selves. I love that Sister Adele was actually talking about the attack on the natural senses, our natural relationship with God, etc., that are actually there. She's calling us Ma'atian beings. I really do love that, because central in my shrine, I've got a little seated figure of Ma'at, and that's what I serve to bring back that balance. But I'll try and explain some in this introduction now. Why I've got a certain thing. You see, at this time now, we've got a physiological thing called cortisol hitting our systems. We've been put under stress. We've been put under fear. It's been a very, very deliberate campaign. And what I try to say to people is, if you know these kind of things, we really need to do a lot of detoxing and be aware of what's actually happening. Hit the next one, please, Andrew. Twin Pillars of Consciousness by Dr. Malefi Asante, who's the founder of Afrocentricity. Just keep hitting those, Andrew. You see them build up. So the twin pillars are, just keep hitting nice and steady. Consciousness towards oppression versus consciousness towards victory. So we have, next one's poverty versus wealth. We have violence versus peace. We have lack versus abundance. We have disease versus health. We have misery versus happiness, and failure versus success. Just hold it there a second. So what happens is, I like to start with this because overwhelmingly, along with the fear, we're being, okay, hit the next one, Andrew. If I was to say, which is generally portrayed or nurtured as being black, and that's why I underline the lack. Every time we say black, we're saying the word lack inside of it. If you say the word white, and they say we are not white, you take the we out of the word white, and the middle three letters say hit. And if you lack a defense, as Smokey said in Friday, you're going to get knocked out. So this, looking at the twin pillars, personally speaking, even though I'm aware of the need to be defending against the consciousness towards oppression, I've got to be very aware of it and drive myself for the consciousness towards victory. and be consciously driving for that. So I always remember yourself, Brother Andrew, talking all the time in the positive to people about what we can do and what we can achieve. It is very moving listening to the father of the young brother who was killed today, and some of the ideas that he actually has. They really do need to be heard. They really need to be nurtured. The ideas that were coming across all over, but having a game plan is very important, because a lot of the things that are being nurtured now actually are lying within us, and it's like we're possessed and we're being triggered. So that really needs to be worked on. Next one, please, Brother Andrew. This is consciousness talk. So if I say CTV and the next one is CTO, anytime I'm doing work now, if I put those two on, I'm saying that those are the things I'm trying to stress to people. Next one, please, Andrew. Now we have the STAR plan. Just keep hitting this. We have our spiritual, psychology, and history balanced with economics, politics, and the material world. So when I was in Manchester, I was working a lot with spirituality, psychology, and history. I came down to London and I was kind of studying economics, politics, and the material realm. Hit the next one, please, Brother Andrew. Just nice and steady. So this gives us a 6-point star, the so-called Morgan David, which shows the spiritual and material. We have our psychology, which will underpin our economics understanding. Then we have our history, which is underlying our politics. Please note, I can spell. History spelled with a Y, because there it's talking about hist, which means womb, the story from the womb. If we're talking about male, female, and our functional roles in life, we must remember that our life began with our mothers. After, well, if you say to sisters sometimes, what's a man's role in creating a child, they might actually say, not long enough. But maybe that's just me. Yeah, especially as I've got older. So what I'm saying there, when we spell it with a Y, we're actually talking about lineage. We're talking about the continuum. Hit it again, please, Andrew. So in the middle, and again, we have culture and we have law. So the laws or the guidance that Sister Adele was talking about, the 42 negative declarations of Ma'at, and then the 7 principles of Ma'at, that's our natural law. And as she said, that these are negative declarations saying, I have not done. It's about personal responsibility, not the law that's outside of us telling us that thou shalt not do this thing. And there's a lot of work done now available where they're showing how Moses, who they call the lawgiver, it's Acts 7:22, you'll see it in a little while. And it says, Moses was raised knowing all the wisdom of the Egyptians and grew to be a man powerful in words and deeds. It should have been the wisdom of the Kemites, by the way, because Egypt doesn't come in until the Greeks go there. And I'm sorry, I just have to stress that. It's to say that when we use like Isis, Osiris, Horus, they are the Greek names for the Kemetic. So there's a point in history where Kemet stops being Kemet, even though the culture continues and people borrow that culture. It's not under the control of the Kemites. So I just wanted to stress that one. So this STAR plan, anytime there's, I'm saying to people, they're the key areas I always look at. I always look at those key areas. And it gives us the term psychohistory. Just hit it again, Andrew, you'll see that. So psychohistory is a foundation. It's a foundation. Next one, please. So I just want to give a background. Just wait there a second. This is my background. I was born in 1959. And this picture is from 1960. I was raised, hit again, Andrew. I was raised there in Blackburn. You see it's in the northwest of England. Hit it again, please. And this is my family photo. You might be able to identify me as a chubby cheek little cherub in the front there. And as you see, there is no black parent or black siblings. So I came through, hit it again, please. I came through, I was born Paul Taylor on my birth certificate. I was called William Paul Taylor. I was officially adopted by the gentleman there, who I call Dad. That's my dad. I have never, ever met my natural father, never seen a picture of him or anything. I always imagine, because I'm a big skinned guy, I always thought that he would be a big guy. Then I found out he was 5'6" and slim. And I was like, damn, where's that? So I got my bill from my grandfather on my mother's side. Hit it again, please.
This is powerful, Brother Paul. This is powerful.
So my natural father came over to the UK. This is the British West African Frontiers Force flag, the logo. So when you see the elephant with the raised trunk and the palm tree, it's that was their logo. Please hit it again. So this is as close a portrait I can get to my natural father. This is an image. This is what they dress. Anytime you see African troops with a fez, it's basically the working for the colonizers. It's right across the board with the French, the English, everybody. Hit it again, please. So it became Nigeria in 1960. So my natural father was one of the engineers for the Royal Electrical Mechanical Engineering. He was on a training course in Borden in Hampshire. Hit it again, please. And then, of course, there was a Biafran war. This is a Biafran flag. And he was a sergeant in the Rimi. So he would have been an officer in the Biafran army. And basically, when the war was done, the federal troops just killed all the officer class, you see. So I don't know what happened to him or anything. Next one, please. What he did do, though, on hearing I was born, he sent back the name Benedict Obinna Eme. He sent that name back for me. And so he hit it again. So I did a name change, 1989, to William Benedict Paul Obinna Wilson Eme. You see that the name Taylor has gone because that was my dad's name. So I don't have Taylor blood. My mom's maiden name was Wilson. So I use the two. Anytime you see Paul Obinna, I'm paying respect to my mother and my father and my lineage, my natural lineage. I'm not in denial of my white side. I'm not trying to be black. And then several times recently, I was told a couple of years ago, I was too light-skinned to know about racism. And I said, that's a frigging pity. I wish this from a guy about 27 years old. And I sort of said, that's a pity. I wish you could time travel back to Blackburn, on the streets of Blackburn in the 60s and 70s. And you could have said, stop! He's not dark enough to suffer racism. But out of a town of 155,000, there were 5 of us mixed race who were on the road. You became a schmoozer or a fighter. And I wasn't for schmoozing. So I became a fighter, a battler. Please come forward again. And so what I have there, my life mission is to seek and teach balance. And so I'm very conscious of my name. I'm very conscious of what I'm here to do. And teaching balance, as Sister Adele was relating to my art, one of the most natural things we do is balance. We go out of balance and back into balance, out of balance, back into balance every time we walk. Another thing is, if you look at the work of Joseph Murphy, who did a book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, you'll find that the two natural fears, the only natural fears we have, are the fear of sound and the fear of falling, of gravity. Those are the only two. All other fears are taught and we pick up by a learned experience. So please keep that in mind when you're feeling the fear. Go back and say, was it loud or am I sitting upright? Because everything else you've been had over, you've been bamboozled, you've been, what was it Malcolm was said to us? It said, you lied to, flim flat, etc. Please again. That's it. Okay, next one, please. Hit it. Racist scholarship. Even the most hostile racist writers usually prove the very opposite of what they intended. Their works inevitably contain useful factual data that must be accepted. Indeed, it's doubtful whether anyone, even a devil, could write a book completely devoid of truth. Research in African history is more tedious, laborious, and time-consuming than is true in other suppressed fields. For in developing the undeveloped history of the blacks, one has to explore the most unlikely sources for a fragment here and a fragment there. So basically, on understanding what Dr. Williams was saying by this quote, what we're looking at, sometimes we have to listen out for and take the threads that are given to us. Yeah, not all academic, even though it's important, but also there are threads that you can follow. Please again, Andrew, I'll try and move very quickly now. So a historical ghetto, for instance, most of the history of African people throughout the world is taught through slavery, a short period in our history, considering that we were the oldest of the world's people. So what Dr. Clark's talking about there is historical discontinuity. And also to connect back, we need to have lineage, or lineage that goes back. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Well, in actual fact, could have been genetically, because the fact you're here now means you must have been there back in the days of old time. So you see, what goes on is that we have this belief that now is the only thing. So the lineage we have, our mitochondrial DNA, carried by our mothers and by women, is very, very powerful. Don't forget, the Sankofa bird has an egg in its mouth, and who carries the eggs is the sisters. So therefore, there's a thing there that my children and myself, what we do, what I've always done for the last 35, 40 years is always, I used to give my mother a thank you card and buy her flowers, and you know, she didn't drink, so that was okay. But recently, it was my birthday. It's April 1st, as you probably can tell. I just went into Marks and Spencer's. I bought like chocolates and flowers and a bottle of Prosecco or something. And then there was a lady of age on the till, and you know, so I paid for it all. And I just said, and she, oh, someone's getting a lucky gift. I said, yeah, it's you. It's my mum's birthday. It's my birthday, sorry. I always buy that thing. Please accept this. And I just give it to the first person I see, really. And so there's no planning, but it's a respect to the mother principle. And I ask you to get your children to do that as well. Because if we're going to stand, as sister, I'll keep referring to this sister, Lady Adele, I keep referring to what she said, because if you're going to stand this system on its head, there's certain things that we're going to have to be doing, not talking about doing, and paying respect to the lineage. You see this thing about the talking now about doing things, you know, to try and get boys' attitudes to change and all this, as they kind of emasculating males and what. No, we need to be very strong as males, and then it means that we show respect for our origin. Simple as that. Please go on, Brother Andrew.
Brother Paul, I'm loving this, King. I'm telling you, brother. I've waited all year for this, brother. So don't rush it, brother. We're taking our notes when you're talking, brethren. This is your time, brother. This is your time.
What happened? I started teaching in prisons 1989. And what happened, an Igbo inmate who was there, he said, I said, oh yeah, I use the name Paul Obinna. I said, so he's Obinna. And he said, Obi means shrine. And I said, really? And he said, shrine. I've been building shrines since I was about maybe 15 years old or something like that. Just where I keep my money or I keep certain things. So a shrine is like a focus point. As you see there in the word shrine, it says in. So a shrine is your expression of your inner self. So it's like the word brain. Brain says bra in. Yeah. And I'll get to that the two compartments. You got the word mind. It says M in D, mind. It says in. Your spine that passes the messages around the body. It says spine is SP, then in again with an E. So spine, shrine, mind, brain, etc. It's the inner self, the inner quality that is there, not the outer, the inner. So the messages I have in my shrine over there, that are messages for me to keep on with what I'm doing, to focus and you know, give respect to my ancestry, give my respect to what I'm here, the purpose I'm here to do, and for the human value that people have. So the word shrine, Obi. So that gave me a kind of inquisitive. I was inquisitive then. I said, because I knew it meant heart, you see. So go again, please, Andrew.
And just say behind you, brother, you got the word lineage, innovation. And again, you got the two ins there in lineage and innovation.
Yep. Thank you, man. Thank you. And, you know, innovation, the in where Jesus Christ was born. So just stop there. Go back one. So a book of, no. Go. I want the three up. 2, 3. Right. So that's my name, the name of my daughter, the name of my son. I want to have 2 children. From the Igbo names book. I got this book in a different format, 30 odd years ago. My daughter's 30 now. So please come again. Put the 3 meanings. Heart Father, strength of the people, and the heart of wealth. That's what the three names mean. And so these names are something else, something else. And when you look at the way that they're constructed, the Igbo people have this in. Most names are like that. But usually, for instance, my daughter is she's a Kemba Ezioku, so it's the strength of the people is truth. But watch this now. The word Ezioku or Ezioku means truth, but it also means family compound. You see this now? Truth or the family compound. Again, Lady Adele was talking about the destruction of the family. These names are in actual fact a reminder to be strong as a people, but then also have truth or your family tie as well. Eme means to act as well. Obiaku means the heart of well. He is Obiaku Esa Chinwoke, Wilson Iwuji Eme. So he's the heart of wealth, is a healer. Asa is a healer, and then a healing gift from God. That's what his name means. Please hit again for the next two. Agbodike and then Obiafufu. So hit this one, please. Agbodike means the lineage is a powerful link. Our lineage is a powerful link. Obifufu, the lineage will not discontinue. And who carries the lineage is the mother. And if we're not doing actively involved in connecting with that, nah, we're not going to get that. So please carry on. So let me. Oh, this is Dr. Richard King. I was after the late great Dr. Patricia Newton used to say that Dr. King's been lent to us for a little while from another galaxy. And he's really funny. When I met him, he couldn't find his way around DC, but the complexity of his thinking was amazing. Please hit these up, but just put them all up, Andrew. So this is a book called The African Origins of Biological Psychiatry that he wrote. And then, or just hold it there. It says the ancient Egyptian knew the relationship of the pineal gland to the higher states of consciousness more than 4,000 years before its rediscovery by modern biological psychiatry. The concept of an African origin of biological psychiatry is based on a review of the material and evidence related to the Eye of Horus found in the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun. So he started breaking all of that down. Just hit these words, Jin and Jen. When you see the word Jin and Jen, again, please. It's again. So he gives you the word origin, begin, and then you got Genesis, genes is, and then generations. So when you see that, it's very important we recognize these small words. This is just an abridged version. But when you go into the thing, you got, the idea of a genie or a jinn in Arabic is a spirit. One of the reasons that I was saying before, Brother Andrew, I can lick alcohol, man. I can take the liquor. And what happened was I'd be saying to people things like, would you like a sugar in your coffee? I'll go like, oh, no, I don't take extra sugar. No. And then I'd go and get a bottle of gin, get some Coca-Cola, and then I'd be liquoring down 30 spoons of sugar in an evening. And I'm saying, that's hypocritical nonsense. I've got a reason why I drank from going back to 12 years old, but a reason, or is that an excuse? So that's part and parcel of the detoxing I was doing, was getting rid of all that stuff out of my system and having awareness and consciousness of it. Just hit it again. What this is known as now, of course, is epigenetics.
Woo! Come on, big brother.
So if you're actually looking at the date, epigenetics as a concept, I believe, was the early 90s. But both Pat Newton and Dr. King were both on this stuff from time. Get what I'm saying? They were on this from time. These are people like Sister was saying, we need to go back to that ancient concept, the ancient concepts, and apply it right today. Hit the next one, please. Epigenetics. We've been on that for morning. Ancient and modern. So Kemetic to contemporary. Just hit this, please. So we have an image of Heru. There we have a Viva for Ogun. And the next one, please. So what we have, I'm a child of Ogun. I'm April born. I couldn't really be anything else. This Chief Adelikon told me this. And so there's the fighter and also the... Ironically, he told me this when I was around about 30, I think I was about 33, 34 years old when I met him. And he said, no, you're a child of Ogun. He told me. And then from young, I was a martial artist. And then at 16 years old, I was a metallurgist working with hardening and tempering steel. I didn't realize that I also applied I got my 3rd Dan black belt for the application of martial arts into teaching and learning. So the way I go about what I'm doing, I'm moving energy around, I'm taking shots, defending, attacking, etc., all of those things. So I'm a true child of Ogun. Just to say, as we know, Heru was a warrior, is a warrior principle, but also his followers were called the blacksmiths. So that's going back into the Kemetic, right into so I use the principles of the Orisha, Ori meaning your head, what leads your head. I use that. My second guide, is Eshu Ilegba, who's like the nature of the crossroads, the psychologist, the trickster, etc. He is not as Samuel Ajay Crowther, the first bishop of Nigeria, the first Christian bishop. He was not the devil, which is what they love to do. Like Set, who battles Heru, is not the devil. It's a principle. Let me carry on, please. I sometimes get a bit kind of blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Teach.
So timeline depicting just take this line by line, Andrew. There's a general history taught by the system and society which focuses on and gives credit to the scientific developments and achievements of the last 500 years only. This can teach a restricted worldview which develops a will not to know, or even a cognitive dissonance, meaning things just don't make sense. And just hold there. And as if you go into the judgment seat of Ma'at, the first of the natures of God along the top, the 12 on the I think it's, I've forgotten the name of the papyrus, but the first one there is the God associated with the senses called Hu. So if I say, does this make sense? I'm trying to make sure you don't have the cognitive dissonance. As we are seeing now with what's happening with people following the sheeple, the cognitive dissonance is in effect. Fear has been given, then it's like, oh yeah, I'll do that. And so there's not this thing. I know as a citizen, I was offered all kinds of stuff when I was younger, and I had to use my moral compass to decide whether I was going to get into things or not. And so I don't understand where someone will be calling me an anti-vax. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I've taken vaccines. But I don't think it's a vaccine. Anyway, so what happened is, it's like, where's people's sense of reasoning? I always teach 6 R's, not 3. Reading, writing, and arithmetic has to be balanced with reasoning, respect, and responsibility. And so if we don't have those 3 nurtured, the second one's nurtured, we get this. You see, teachers don't teach anymore. They deliver curricula.
Come on.
Which usually they got online. They didn't develop it themselves. So this is one of the things. And then as brother was saying before, he was saying about relate to the young people, but they can't. They never had to. They never look. Have you seen the state of a lot of the police who's coming in now? It's taken them 7 police to take down 1 woman with a baby.
Come on, Paul.
Watch this. It's not Marvin Gaye did what's going on in 1972. Now it's what the is going on. Because there's some things going on which is crazy. Anyway, the restrictive mindset in the dehumanized state is called, I call it the corral. A corral is where you put animals. And so I want to show you that in a little while. Carry on, please, Brother Andrew. So the lineage timeline is a tool designed to break the corralled restriction and reawaken the psycho-historical continuum, also known as the golden thread. Just hit the golden thread there. So people, if you ever see the timeline, hit it again, please, Andrew. What you'll see is, please note the central yellow line, just hit it, you'll see the arrow comes up. Because that central yellow line with all the dates on, that is your female mother principle. That before there was dates, before, you know, Dionysius Exiguus invented the BC-AD structure in AD 525, before that was done for the Catholic Church, we were just there. And it's our mothers who were carrying us through.
Teach!
And that's why, that's what people say on the timeline. What's what I said, that's it. That's it, the golden thread. Please hit it again. Now you see what's going on. Here's a simple thing, the corral process. We are our own universal cultural state. Hit again, Andrew, please. Our own identity, free from outside influences. Hit it again. Then what happened was, there was slavery and colonialism. Hit it again. Arab and European. Hit it again, please. So what happened was, freedom and independence was then given. Arab, Turkish, and European granted. Now, what we're supposed to be doing at this time is a return to our own cultural state. Next one, please. Of African origin. Turn it round. And then hit it again. But we got diverted to keep us into a state, Western culture, and we have things like race, religion, class, gender, politics, etc. So what happens is, if you notice, every time we're in this corralled state, they'll go, no, we'll take last year. We had all this thing with the pandemic, and then what happens is, when it was time for us to come out, we're getting ready to come out, a cop kneels on a brother's neck. Oh, Black Lives Matter. Oh, so all of that pending emotion doesn't go towards the system. It goes towards another issue. This year, funnily enough, a report comes out with our beloved Tony Sue, done by our beloved Tony Sue. Once again, wow, and it's a distraction taken, and we go over to that. So we run over to that. So we run to race, then we run to class, we run to gender, we run to this and that. So that's it. It's a distraction. You remember at the same time for the white community, the young woman, the young sister, young white sister was murdered by the policeman. Oh, protest, oh. It's an arch manipulation. I'm not saying that the murder, I don't know. All I'm saying is distraction. It's the art of distraction as far as I'm concerned. I watch these things, been watching it for quite a while. I think it's brilliant in its own devious, demonic way. Hit it again, please, Andrew. So that's the thing called the corral. That's the one you dehumanize. So I want to just, it's a little story, quick. Just wait there, Andrew. What happened was one day I was playing table tennis. This is back in the days when I was buff, when I was well built, and I was fit and everything. I used to play a lot of table tennis. And then the guy I was playing the game with, a teacher called Ben Dudley, God rest his soul. What happened was he went to make a phone call. This little fat Scotsman comes walking in with a belly hanging over his tracksuit. And he says to me, he says, is Ben here? I go like, no. He goes, do you want a knock up? And I go like, yeah, okay. He beat me 21-1. And my 1 point was the first point. And then the second game we played, he started coaching me, which really, really pissed me off. And he beat me 21-0. Then the third game, he goes, Paul, when you're playing the game, where are you looking at? And I says, oh, I'm watching you. He said, why do you think I'm going to move the table? Keep your eye on the ball. And I went, oh, damn. Hit these across, Andrew, please. So you see, what happened was, if you start looking at either hockey, next one is football, next netball or basketball or chess, you know where the grounding is. Does that make sense? We have to have that knowledge. We have to know that, where the lines are, where the goal is, and all these things. Hit the next one, please, Andrew. Just one. So you see, you remember Game of Thrones? Game of Thrones tells you about who is supposed to be in charge, etc., etc., and all of this thing, and the darkness that's actually there, and wow. some people think it's real and whatever. But you know, I like the dragons. I gotta say, they're cute and everything, especially when they're burning. Sorry. So watch this. Please put this up now. This is our game plan. If you study in history, you have to know this. You have to know BC AD. You have to differentiate between the red BC and the blue AD. You have to know we count down, stop at 1, and then count back up again. There is no 0 year 0. That's why people made millions, billions in 1999 about are all the computers going to stop? Will planes fall from the sky because there's no year 0? So, you know, so we know that these pandemics of fear have been going on for quite a while. So once we understand this, hit it again, please. BCAD. So this is a usual range of Black history that's given. Just hit again, please, Andrew. So this is basically how much we get. That's Black history, or I call it lack history. That's enslavement by Europeans. So hit it again, please. So there's a little, just one more. And so that's a part of the timeline that you get. So then you have the Arab history range. If you hit it again, and this will take, and again, this will take you back this far to AD 622 with the Arab invasion of Kemet of Africa. But then if we hit it again, please, Andrew, what we actually get is lineage. Our lineage is the African historical continuum, ancient to modern. And this is not starting at 5,000. It goes way back. But please hit it now. So what we have is this continuum, which is going way back like that. Is this making sense?
Yes.
And the yellow line goes back even further. So every time, if you notice, when Black Lives Matter came out, they were just reminding us of enslavement by the European world. That's all consciousness towards oppression. It was like after pinning us down for like several months, all of a sudden, wah, and then it's like, yes, we were oppressed. And it's just identifying with it, consciousness towards oppression. So please, the psychology of that. Along with that, please, we need to know about how our brain operates, right and left hemisphere of the brain. And what I would say, I don't know if Lady Adele said this, but what happened was, you got to remember we're now on the great cycle, moving from Pisces to Aquarius. These people are trying to stop us and arrest us from doing that natural movement. And then ultimately, you know, they're doing this thing of transhumanism. They got all kinds of games because they want to keep power, but they can't hold on to that. They won't be able to hand on to that thing because it's not a natural state. Things come and go. Please hit again. So this European, that's how long the European historical continuum is, going back to ancient Greece. Hit again, please. And then what we have, this little orange strip is European colonization, 1884, 1885, when they signed the treaty in Berlin. Just hit the thing, there's a arrow comes up and then a little map as well. So you see, this is, please remember, 1884, major year, Greenwich Mean Time, Washington Monument. That's the European world getting itself organized. And then going on. Please hit again, Brother Andrew. So let's move this up now. So what we have here, this is just like a little exercise we're not going to do, but I'll say place these religions in chronological order. So they are, if you just punch it up, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and Ma'at. Usually when I've done this in Black History Month presentations, people say, what's Ma'at? So yeah, put them in order. Just keep hitting it, please. And so it comes up, Ma'at goes 4,000 plus BC, pre-dynastic, then it goes to Judaism, then Christianity, and then Islam. And we're not talking the principle of Islam, we're talking the actual religion called Islam. So if you hit them again on these 4,000 BC plus 1530, AD 45, and 622. And there's Acts 7:22 talking about Moses being raised, knowing all the wisdom of the Egyptians. So I always like to get into some very, very simple reasonings about that. Please, if you get the chance as well, look up the Blashfield mural, which is on the ceiling of the Library of Congress, the Blashfield mural. Have a look at that actual phenomenon, as I call it a phenomenon. Please go on. social institution of the slaves, right? So this is where we're going to get into the Obi now. Orlando Patterson, hit it again, please. This is Orlando, Dr. Patterson, I think it is. And if you want to jog that down quickly, or if you just go on to, Wikipedia now and put in Obia, you'll actually get you'll get a response. There's not a lot of information, but it's actually on there. And it references Dr. Patterson and other theories. Let me just say this to you. Because of my background in Blackburn, Lancashire, raised in a white family, not contacting the black community until I was 15 years old in any strong way. And then it became through girlfriends. I think my last white girlfriend was when I was 16. And after that, never checked that. Except for when I was at college, sorry, I have to confess, I was a United Nations practitioner at college. I'm really sorry about it. Oh, no, I'm not sorry about it, but there's a... But what happened is, you put on there, you're going to get a response. Now, I was not raised with any fear of African tradition. Even though I used to run past a witch doctor's outfit, which was from my region, I later found out in Blackburn Museum. But I wasn't raised to know anything about, Obia, be frightened, it's fearful, be this, be that, and whatever. Never, never, never. I was worried about the Lancashire witches, Nicholas Demdike, the warlocks, and all of this business. That's what I was raised to be fearful of, along with the, the fact I was going to church. I was a regular churchgoer with my family. My dad was a Plymouth Brethren Reverend. My mum was secretary of a missionary society called the OMF, the Overseas Missionary Fellowship, which dealt with Southeast East Asia. I was a choir boy from the age of 8 to 13. So I was raised knowing book until I went to the cathedral. Yeah, godless. Anyway, hit the next one, please. So Orlando Patterson, he did a book called Patterson states in the book The Sociology of Slavery that the binding element of the society, the enslaved society, was through the practice of obia, or obi. The three things there. Next one. He carries out deductive research. Let me say what that is. Deductive research is left hemispheric, where you say you're going to go and find the meaning of the word witchcraft, and then you go and find words in West Africa that mean witchcraft, instead of doing inductive research, where you go beyond the premise. You go and find out, just find out what people call things. So he carries out deductive research in Western Africa and finds the meaning of the term and finds the Akan meaning, witchcraft. Brother Andrew, can you hear me?
Yep.
Do you speak Igbo?
No.
Just say, I'm going to say to you, just say to me that I'm going to tell my dad on you. Just say that.
I'm going to tell my dad on you.
Guana.
Easy. I'm the dog.
Yeah, so what I said was Guana. It means go and tell your father in Igbo.
Guan. Wow.
So then if I say you all in Igbo, I say Unu.
Unu. Yes.
Yes. So yes. You see, there's these survivals that are there, linguistic survivals, which people, because we're trained to talk about, well, my grandmother's was Portuguese, that's where I get my long hair from, because of that kind of thing. We don't look into the African. We don't look, and you know what? There's a book called The Flash of the Spirit. And in it, it's actually saying the survivals are in the spirituality.
Teach.
So what happens is we'll keep looking to these other things, but we don't look into that spirituality because we've been trained to believe that African spirituality, black spirituality is negative. But we'll get to that. Hit the next one, please, Andrew.
Teach.
So what we've got in Igbo language, Eastern Nigeria, the term has at least 9 meanings. The term Obi. Go again, please. And then it says here, all these principles were attacked by the process of slavery and colonization and colonialism and now require repair and development. But you've got to do the prognosis before you do the diagnosis, before you do the treatment. You get what I'm saying? But if we're not willing to look at it, why? Because we got Christianity, we've got Islam, we've got all these other things to look at rather than looking into the African traditional spirituality. Please sit again. So what goes on? Wikipedia synopsis plate. This is from synopsis from Wikipedia. I downloaded this today. Obia, type. It says syncretic occasionally, meaning it gets blended with other religions and gets practiced. Classification is Afro-Caribbean. origin, now they've started putting Igbo land. So I've been personally teaching this particular thing about the word, etc., for around 30 years, because I had 5 interpretations, then went to the 9, but then separated from Mile and absorbed into Ashanti, Odinani, Igbo, and then Christianity, again, occasionally. Other names is the Black Arts. So you see down there, I got Bunny Wailer's Black Heart Man. Yeah? Okay, hits again, please. So let's go with Mile first. Of course, this is who? Mary Seacole. Mary Seacole was a Mile practitioner. And that's the healing side of the Obia, the healing side of the spirituality. It's the herbs and etc., the herbal treatments. So that's what she was healing with. The funny thing is now, if every high street nearly has got a Chinese herbalist, and you got that, could you imagine they started a Nigerian herbalist? Nigerian Christians have shut it down overnight.
Yes.
Because of you saying, oh, is evil and what? Why? As sister said, it's natural, not normal. Look at that word normal, by the way. Nor is an abbreviation for northern. Mal means sick.
Oh, Paul.
And if you go to a book called The ISIS Papers, one of the chapters that Dr. Wilson did, it's called The Neurochemical Basis for Evil. And there's a quote there from, I think it's the book of Jeremiah. I think it's Jeremiah, don't quote me. And it says, out from the north an evil shall break forth upon the land and shall confuse men until it makes them sin. And so that whole dynamic, you can call me anything you want, but never call me normal. Nor northern, mal, sickness. Please check that one out. Next one, please. As we go down to this, the next one here, Pocomania, Spanish for small madness. Well, these are the people who try and maintain their African traditions with the Christianity. Let's go on the other side, the Black Arts. And so what we have here, Exuma, the Obia man. Now, do you remember in the Caribbean, they call him a Black Heart man? The Obia man's a Black Heart man. So they're trying to say black is evil. So you got all those things carry on through. Hit it again, please. So then what we have here is Bunny Wailer. And so what I want to do before the Rastas jump up and start attacking me for maybe saying it, implying he's negative, just hit the next 2, please. Because what it's saying, we have negative practices. Negative. You realize every time you're saying that, you're saying black. Negative. I'll tell you a funny story for me. I went down to South Africa. I was in Port Elizabeth, and I wanted some photocopying doing. And I said, can I have 5 color and 10 black and white? And the woman is a white woman. She said, you mean black? And I went, no, I mean black and white. You mean black? South Africa, you see, there's no black and white. That's race mixing. So I was going like, damn, that's deep. I said, but are you going about negative practices, or are you talking about heart consciousness? Bunny Wailer was truly a Black Heart man, but that's what we're talking about, the heart consciousness. The heart, that's the first organ to form. The heart, which they said was the seat of the consciousness, hence it being weighed against the feather of truth, the ostrich feather in Kemet, where it had to be in balance, not lighter than, not heavier than, in balance with the feather. So our heart consciousness is something to really, really look at. How do we look after our heart? Through our diet and through not getting stress. Interestingly enough, I know that they put a memorial up across from the Parliament building for, I think it's 160,000 people who have died of coronavirus, COVID-19. Please don't start saying it's not true. I'm just saying about what they're saying. Let me ask you just a series of questions quickly. What's the population of the UK? Can you shout one, Andrew?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat room, brothers and sisters. I'll say 57 million.
67. Someone says
67,
70,
I'll
right?
take
Yeah,
67.
67 million, roughly.
roughly.
Okay. How many people die annually from, they just die annually, full stop, in the UK?
How many people die annually?
Just die of anything.
Of anything. Just put it in the chat room. Someone says 10,000. Someone says 300,000. Someone says 500,000. Someone says 2 million. Some people say.
So you see what's happening? We've gone a full year, over a year, talking about death every day, and still they haven't given us the standard number of deaths per year. I've been told 600,000. 600,000. So if 160,000 died from coronavirus, this 0.7% killer, what happened to the other 440,000? And there was a Tory peer talking about that. Why is it that death is only considered important? And then there was a lady, what she called, she writes for the Daily Mail, and she wrote an article about 5 Saturdays ago, and she was actually saying that her father in his 80s died, and then they put COVID on the death certificate, but he didn't die of that. She was asking, what's going on? Sorry, let's go to the 2021 version. What the is going on? So that's what I'll say. Heart consciousness means you have that feeling, that intuition that something ain't right. That you smell a rat. So that's our wisdom. But you see, what happens is this. People who are trained, this left brain, religion, control, just think this, that, and the other, do not like anybody who's intuitive, because they can guess and they can see what they're doing and what they're up to. And that's why we need to have that dynamic put forward. So So can you go again, Brother Andrew, please? Nearly done. We're nearly finished. It's
beautiful, Paul.
A cultural understanding. Igbo language. This is just hit 9 times. Meanings: heart, wish, home, kindred, chief, lineage, soul, spirit, mind, and one more, shrine house. Wait there. So heart, your wishes, home and kindred, chief, lineage, soul, spirit, mind, and shrine. 1 3-letter word. The word Igbo reversed. Obi. One thing, dependent on context, tone, etc. 1 little word. Every time you start talking about Obi this, Obi that, and all that business, this intrinsically is what you're dismissing. But what I'm going to do now, sorry, Brother Andrew, just give me one more. I'm going to show you now an Obi ritual. I'm going to tell it to you. So those of you who are going to be worried about this, switch off your things for about maybe a minute and a half. So what I want you to do, you get a piece of card, and then you draw a heart on it, and you put the name of somebody, right? It could be someone that you wish to get with, like romantically. And then what you do, you're going to send it to their home where their kindred lives, hoping that they will, in their mind, they will let you become the chief of their heart's desires. And you'll get together with them, influence them, get together with them, so that eventually you'll increase your lineage. Does that make sense? It's called Valentine's Day. Called Valentine's Day. You see what I'm trying to say? It seems like we're scared of about a word that we don't even know. But we have that kind of thing going on that we get scared. Please say it again.
Paul, you're on fire, brother. You're on fire tonight.
Let me just go. We have a term by Camaro. Please remember this. So watch this. When Lady Leila before was saying about the cultures that we're from, what was happening. So please, let's go with this. By Camaro means 2 chambers. So hit it again, hit it. So it says here, in terms of West African traditional culture, before the colonizing by the Arabs and the European nations, this took the form of 2 separate but equally functioning male and female institutions, which would be both co and interdependent in the running of the society. Meaning, you couldn't make moves affecting the women without consulting the Women's Council. You can't make moves affecting the men without consulting the Men's Council. If there was a complaint, like a guy tried to get his wife pregnant within 2 years, there will be a protest made to the Women's Council. Do you want to kill our daughter? Yeah? Because they were very clear on these things. Very, very clear. Can't do that now. So what's this? The Igbo case, guided by their cultural law, Omenala, each of these institutions will look out for the well-being and continued development of their men and women and will be involved in the settling of disputes on levels from the individual to families, kindred, and the wider social groupings along gender interests. Go again, please, Brother Andrew. Neither institution could pass laws which could affect the members of the other without prior consultation, and the culture was characterized by strong gender roles and expectations. So these are like having twin towers, establishments. Hits again. So back out this second part. So this is the bicameral mind now. In terms of the mind, two chambers are the right and left hemispheres of the brain, which are denoted culturally as right feminine, left masculine. Both of the hemispheres are separate functions which are meant to function together in the interest of the whole person. They're now saying that they actually interact more across. In many cultures, the right feminine brain is the deep memory store and connected to the source of the core natural knowledge and the emotive motivational factors. The left masculine brain is the connector to the outer world, dealing with the language and communication. So please hit it again. So this is why when you look at Kemetic principles, in ancient Kemet, these functions were reflected in the paired relationship between the Neteru, the so-called gods, such as Osiris, which is the masculine, and Oset, Isis, the feminine, or Ma'at and Chehuti and Thoth, the masculine and feminine. Thoth literally is the head of an ibis bird, so that the ibis bird was seen tucking its head under. This is a work of Charles Finch, Dr. Charles Finch, tucking its head under. So they observed it, just like the guys who were doing like crane style, snake style, tiger, bear claw, and all this business. In martial arts, they were observing nature, and they saw that this ibis bird looked like it was looking in. So therefore, they said, that's like the function of the left brain. We can put that on the top of a male figure, and then have the female figure. She gonna have an ostrich feather on her head, because the ostrich can see all around, right? And see, and then goes down into get small stones to help its digest. It's not trying to hide. It's small stones to help its digestion for what it's seen. So what you're actually looking at is that function is the bringing of information. So watch this. When you really know something, they say you've learned it off by heart. So what goes on? It's a basic principle of Ma'at, that is the outer world coming back to the inner world from the brain, the mind, the spine. Oh, God. Next one, please. Next one, please. Next one, please.
Come on.
Next one, please. So the attacks on the Obi, this is just a chart I'm going to put. So what we're going to do, Brother Andrew, Obi aspect, and then it's going to say slavery, enslavement, and then colonization. Just fill the list in to the left, please. Heart, wish, home, kindred, chief lineage, soul, spirit, mind, and shrine house. Remember next February 14th or before to get your flowers and your card to do your Obi ritual. I don't want you to forget that. You know what I mean? With your partner, not for some other interest. Enslaved. So what am I putting here? I'm just putting these on. This is just to give an idea. Hit please, Brother Andrew. So what affecting the heart? Enslavement, diet, stress, diet, and oppression. Wishes, Stockholm syndrome. Wanting to be, what was it? Where you want to be, as Dr. Naeem Akbar said, is when your sense of freedom operates out of the nature of your oppression. So you think that to be free is to act like the people who are oppressing you. Like Brother James Small said, how can you claim that you want to be free when the one thing you'll be when you're free is the one thing you don't want to be, which is an African? So if you got that self-hatred going on, Stockholm syndrome is going to be the way. home and kindred, influence and what the influences that are about, and then fragmentation. So young guys placing their friends above their family and the guidance of anybody else above their family. Chief, politics, economics, and religion. Who do you select as your chief of your people? Is it done naturally? Or is it something that someone's going to come along, a politician? How do you know a politician, how do you know a politician is lying? Their lips are moving and sounds are coming out. Sorry, so watch it. And sorry, those who are good people, had to follow generally party lines. That's what party politics is about. So I'm not dissing all politicians. I'm just saying that's one of the things. Lineage, cultural discontinuity, and sexism, because we don't pay respect to the mother principle. What's it do? The soul, an immoral compass, not a moral compass, an immoral compass and negative culture, which is, again, what Sister was talking about before. Adele was dropping it, that they put all these ideas in that we can do what we want to do. Was it the guy who called himself the Beast, Alistair Crowley, said, do as thou wilt? He was so badass that buddy, what's he called? Benito Mussolini kicked him out of Italy. What's the next one here? Soul, spirit, religion, culture, and fear. You got a thing called team spirit. Team spirit. We want to be together. That's what a spiritual does. So, for instance, the ancient African education system, as denoted by Schroller de Lubitz and Asa Hilliard, it says, what was it? Unity between the self and the nation. The first one's unity with nature. Unity between the self and nation. Development of social character, of social responsibility. Development of character, and finally, development of spiritual power. So those 5 elements, as simple as they are, were the background to the education of the Kemites. And so what goes on in your mind? Miseducation and politics again. Who's making the decisions on what you're learning, what your children are learning? And then the shrine house willed fragmentation, willed division, because we're not going to get into that obvious stuff, voodoo stuff. The 5 points are unity with nature, unity between the self and nation, simply put by Muhammad Ali as me, we. Development of character, development of social responsibility, and the development of spiritual power. Let's go to colonization now, colonial colonization. So what we're going to have there, religion, Stockholm syndrome, media, and Stockholm syndrome for the heart, wish, and the home and kindred. That's in general. So you get there, the chieftaincy, cultural, political corruption. What you'll find, there's so many chiefs, for instance, in Nigeria and Ghana, is because of 2 different things. You had the traditional chiefs who can sell you land. Then you have the divisional chiefs who don't own the land and can't sell it. But you won't know the difference if you're going over there trying to get land. So these are the things. They made certain people into chiefs to serve the aims of the British or the French or the Portuguese, whoever. Does this make sense? So you have to find out if someone is a traditional chief or a divisional chief. We're out there, lineage, religion, sexism, and patriarchy again. Please check, there's a book by Sheikh Anta Diop called The Cultural Unity of Black Africa. The Cultural Unity of Black Africa. There's also a book by Ife Amadume. Ife Amadume is called African Matriarchal Foundations, the Igbo Case. There's also a book called, she has a book also called Male Daughters and Female Husbands. I don't know if you know this. What happened was, if I'm with a wife, and because the land is passed through the male line, if I'm not having children, even though we know it's the male that determines the gender of a child, I could find, my wife could find a second wife for me whose family have lots of boys in them. And then what happens is she would marry that wife so that the child that the second wife would have would be hers, right? That is nothing to do with sexuality. That's everything to do with cultural structure. But other people turn around and start making other ideologies of it. And then we go, but wild on other areas. That's not to say that homosexuality doesn't exist, but generally it's in the area of taboo and it won't be talked about, etc. So these are some of the things that you need to be aware of as well. So again, the immoral compass and culture, spirit, the religion, culture, and fear again, because it also, you have what you call midnight practitioners. What I found in Nigeria, everybody's going church and whatever in Igbo land, but then you'd have midnight practitioners, meaning they'll be getting up to their things at the nighttime, behind closed doors, etc. I got some interesting story. You get that thing when they say, I always say to people, do you know anybody, do you know personally anybody was killed by Obia? Do you know anybody was killed by Dibia? Do you know anybody was killed by voodoo? I'm talking, do you know them? Do you know of them? And I used to say, no, I don't. But then now I can say, yes, I do. But what I say to you is people's very scared of African traditional spirituality. But then if I turn around and said, do you know anybody who's been killed in the name of Christianity? Do you know of anybody being killed in the name of Islam? Do you know anybody? If you ask those questions, you're going, damn!
Absolutely.
How many million? And yet we're more frightened. We're more frightened of a voodoo tale than we are of like literally where you could get information like that from there. Sorry. So therefore, mind again, miseducation and politics, and shrine house as well, which is in will fragmentation. Just let me say very quickly, I would say to you, a shrine house, by tradition in Igbo, the shrine house, the obi, was where, that's where you would greet people and they would know your lineage. This is the kind of thing you can start with by looking at your lineage. I remember a good friend of mine, good sister down in Bristol. I always remember I stayed at her house. I was doing a presentation. I was sleeping downstairs on the settee. And I woke in the morning, a Saturday morning it was, and I looked up and there's all these pictures of her son there, like all of these things. And I just said, who made this boy king of the house? When you get that, who made this boy king of the house? I said, where's his father? Well, we're not together. I said, that's not what I asked. I said, where's the pictures of his father? He has to know who he is. He has to know his lineage. He has to know his grandparents. He has to know that he's more than just a thing. It don't matter if the father's a dickhead. Don't matter if he used to do this. It don't matter. He has to know his lineage. He has to know his lineage. If he don't know his lineage, he's just going to be drifting all over the damn place. And then what happens is, I did a thing called father to father. I did tempering colors, and then there were different levels of contact with children. And we're working in a prison in Bristol. And what happened was, when I gave this thing, it's like 7 different categories, to living in one house with them, to not knowing them at all. And then, so 7 categories. And asking the guys, it's like, well, I've got 2 number 6s in London. In Manchester, I've got a number 2 and a number 3. And these guys are just rhyming off all the women that they've bred up. And I'm going like, damn. But you see, what we can do now, there's no excuse for any brother. No, so, because watch this, I did a story for the Alarm magazine about a guy who goes on a night out from Nottingham, goes on a night out to London. And what happened was, he gets in the nightclub with his friend and all this, and then he sights this sister in a red velveteen dress, and he's gone, damn, and his friend pushes him over. So he chirps her and all that, and she turns around and says, oh, do you want a drink? And then they get on really well, and then he has to make a decision. Is he going to go back to Nottingham, or is he going to go back to her? Now, she's a student in London, and then so they go, and then they get together, and he's a good boy, wears the Jimmy hat and all this business. And then in the morning, he gets, you know, because when it got there, it was all like waiting for the embarrassed silence. And they're looking at all the pictures on the wall and all this business. But then, and so they get up in the morning, have a shower together, and she cooks breakfast and all this. But when she walks into a little bedsit room, he's looking really kind of perplexed. And she said, "What's the matter?" And he says, "Why have you got a picture of my dad here?" What are you going to say? I know cases of that in Manchester where people don't know who their sisters are. They don't know who their brothers are. They don't know who their cousins are. And so these days, though, if there's any brothers who got that thing, take some photographs. Employ a photographer. Go and get what do you call them? Get a photo album and then multiply it and take it round to all your picnic them and give it to them and say, these are your brothers and sisters. Try not to meet them in different ways.
Come on.
Could you just do this last one now? We're finished.
Teach, King.
This is the last one. So this is, so it's a star plan again. Just put the star plan up. And so this is why I'm saying to you, your psychology and your history, and then in the center, your culture and the law of guidance. And I defer again to Sister, to Lady Adele, the fact she's mentioning the Martin ethic. So please think about these dynamics. Do not be afraid of the obia. Go find out about it. Find out about what people are talking about. The word voodoo means the great God. You know, why would you be find out and bust ass of all this thing, get into the reasoning, respect, responsibility, and then please get this idea of lineage. It's your responsibility, our responsibility, to be teaching our children and to showing them who and what they are. And then it's difficult if we haven't been shown that. So we have to do the graft on ourselves. We have to get that done, and don't be afraid of doing that either. Get into the level of healing. Heal yourself. And then we can start making a better day for our communities and for our humanity and everything else. Dehumanization requires rehumanization. Let me say that again. Dehumanization requires rehumanization. Thank you very much.
Oh, come on, brothers and sisters. This is Brother Paul Obinna. Come on. Show some love, man. What a night. No video, nothing. The man just done straightforward teaching. Brother, we still got the 500 people on the platform. You held them. You held them, brother. You held them. Oh, hail up the king, man. His very first time on the Hidden Truth platform. And I saw the comments come flying through the doors, man. I'm so happy to have fellows like this on the front line with me, man. Brother, pull a bin on. Make some noise in the chat room, man. Make some damn noise, man. Show some love. That's what you call a scholarly soldier. Oh, Brother Paul, man. We've missed you, man. Well, I know I've missed you down in London. I know you've been doing your stuff, man. I know you've been doing a lot of work in Holland and around the world, man. But it's a blessing to see you back in action with myself, brother. It's a true blessing. Wow. I don't know if Lady Ma'at is still here, but wow, the way you two connected today. You know, she's been speaking about epigenetics. She's been speaking a whole way, and the way you've linked your Lady Adele, man. What did you think of just seeing you two together, man? It's just brilliant.
You know what I find incredible is that we never talk. So Paul and I have not talked about this evening. And it was just amazing to see how the gods has brought us together, and we shared so much of the same thing. Paul and I were speaking the same thing, 2 different languages, same language. And that's what I find the most phenomenal, that we were saying the same thing and we had not spoken about tonight. So it was wonderful for Paul. He filled in some of the gaps that I didn't know. He expanded on some of the things that I've not even yet finished looking into. So it was a really great lesson for myself as well. So Paul, thank you so much. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
To catch up with you again.
Okay, gotcha.
Brilliant. Brothers and sisters, I tell you something, that's what the Hidden Truth platform is all about, man. We drop the right knowledge, then it's down for you to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do with that knowledge, man. That is Brother Paul. Paul, we need you back on this platform, man. Everyone's already saying it. Please. if you felt the brother, you know what I'm gonna say, brothers and sisters. You know we've got the Energy family on the platform right now. Tell Brother Paul right now in the chat room how smelly this brother is. Tell him how smelly he is, man. Tell him that he smelt the platform up tonight. If you couldn't smell this brother, then I don't know what you're waiting for, man. The brother smell of truth. The brother smell of victory. The brother smelled liberation. The brother smelled the awesome power of regeneration. I'm telling you, man, smellified, Brother Paul. Totally smellified, King. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, brothers and sisters, you know, it's a beautiful sight to see wisdom being dropped on that kind of level, man. Brother Paul, are there any? We've got 30 seconds, a minute or so. What's your last words to the platform for tonight, King?
Just that dehumanization requires rehumanization. In actual fact, if you put rehumanize, you won't get. If you write dehumanization in a word program, you'll get that it's spelled right. If you write dehumanization's okay. If you change the D to an R, it'll tell you that it's wrong. You'll say rehumanize, but as a principle of rehumanization, it doesn't say it.
Yes.
So that is about getting your whole humanity by whatever means whatever path you're on. If that's your means.